Families in Singapore are under pressure on many fronts. Younger marriages are at a higher risk for divorce, with statistics revealing that the highest proportion of breakdowns happen between the 5th and 10th year of marriage. Those who wed for less than 5 years formed the second largest group when it comes to marriage dissolution rates. Couples say they want to have 2 or more children, but many don't due to the perceived high costs and stress in raising children. Our nation's total fertility rate hit an all-time low of 1.05 in 2022. Mental health issues are also on the rise, and our younger generation has not been spared. While the government has announced that we are going to push forward to build a Singapore made for families, it has also been said that it will require a whole-of-society effort to realize this dream. The increased paternity leave has been a step in the right direction. But what else needs to be done to support marital and parenthood aspirations? And what can we do as a community to better support them? According to the Fatherhood Involvement and Marital Aspirations survey conducted by Focus on the Family Singapore, the top 3 areas where fathers have been involved in are providing income, discipline, and being protective. And the areas where they are least involved in are spiritual development, school or homework, and career development. What are the areas that participants wish for greater involvement by their fathers?
Emotional development, shared activities, and intellectual development.
It seems like Singaporean fathers can afford to go beyond the traditional breadwinner roles that men tend to play. But how do they fare in the marriage department? Close to half of respondents described their parents' relationship as very or fairly strong, while about a third described it as very or fairly weak.
Despite the varied experiences growing up, a majority still believe in marriage. However, 40% think it is not necessary to marry, or it is better not to marry.
So what do all this mean for the emerging family? To dive a little deeper, let's speak to a young father of 2 on his experiences growing up and how he plays his role of husband and father.
My name is Josiah. I am a stay-home dad. I've been a stay-home dad for about 1 year now. The reason why I want to be a stay-home dad is because I want to be more present for my children. I've got 2 boys. One is 8 and another one is 4 this year.
That's a great life stage to be in. Yeah,
Yes.
to be a present and active dad to
Yes,
your 2
exactly.
boys.
Yeah. One very distinct memory that I really have of my dad was that when he had to discipline us, he would make sure that he would have a debrief session. I would have done a very bad thing and then he would come back. Of course, he would say that, you shouldn't have done this, scolding, and then he would say that, as a result of whatever you've done, I actually have to cane you, for example. And so then the punishment would happen. And after the punishment happened, as you can imagine, I would be crying, there would be tears. He would give me some time of my own, but he would always end the night or the session with him coming to me and say that, come, let me talk to you. The reason why I had to actually do this to you, the reason why I had to punish you is because I love you, that's why I need to teach you. I am very conscious right now about the connection with my own kids. And so yes, I've had moments where I've had to discipline my children, and I'm very conscious now about also making sure that after the act of punishment, I would spend some time holding his hand and telling him that I love him and the reasons why I've had to do what I've had to do. I realize also that being vulnerable to him myself, there are moments where I've made a mistake. It helps me to connect with my son as well. To say that, Papa made a mistake today. I shouldn't have done this. I've learned from this mistake. And, what do you think Papa could do better next time? The very first thing I always remember is my dad always emphasizing, I love your mommy more than I love you. And I think that has really influenced the way I also interact with my wife. I finally kind of understood that quote that he always tells us, that he loves mom more than he loves us. I can securely say right now that I love my wife more than I love my sons. Not that I don't love my sons, but I love my wife a lot. And, as a stay-home dad, a lot of times I reflect, actually all of this stay-home dad stuff, this role that I'm currently playing, it wouldn't work if I'm not a loving husband. In fact, I'm first and foremost a husband before I'm a father. As simple as that. People always say that relationships are 50-50, right? Actually, that's a bit too good to be true. Sometimes it's 70-30. Sometimes it's 5 and 95. So my wife and I made a conscious effort to try and communicate with each other. You know what? I've had a really, really long day with the kids. I'm at 30% now. Yeah. So she will come back from work and she will go, okay, you know what? I understand. You go to and do your own thing, and I know you need to recharge. Same way, she would come back from work and she would probably have had a bad day, and she comes back and say, oh, I'm only at 40%. And I'll go like, you know what? Okay, go and do your thing. Yeah. So there's this understanding that it is a partnership. And coming from a place of not who is better at what, but it's more of how can I help you in your moment of weakness. The other thing that I'm also realizing in our different roles as mother and father is the way our kids interact with us. The way he communicates with me about what has happened in the playground, the way he confides in me, is in a very logical way. But when he communicates it to my wife, he would just say the first sentence of the story, and he will just start crying. My wife would just embrace him, no words needed. That's their form of communication, right? And I think in that sense, I guess my wife helps my son emote, brings out a more sensitive side so that he can connect his feelings to his head and his heart.
From Josiah's story, one can see the centrality of fathers in shaping the next generation's identity, as well as attitudes towards marriage and parenthood. So what happens where there's a lack of healthy male role models for our young? A spokesperson for the Center for Fathering nonprofit said, boys and men are more likely to become emotionally unstable and experience depression, anxiety about their identity if their fathers are absent during their growing years. Now, we've all heard of the passive husband, emotionally absent father, and other negative types of masculinity. What might happen if we collectively promote healthier models of identities and behaviors in marriage and parent-child relationships? If the future of family in Singapore is shaped by these core relationships, what are some steps we can take to foster a holistic understanding of gender roles in schools or communities? This is Alicia Boo from Focus on the Family Singapore, reporting for The Emerging Family, shaping next generation relationships.